So my first attempt at the iron butt saddlesore 1000 was back in 2011. What we had done is we decided we were kind of tired of the 1 week trips and we wanted to really get out towards the West Coast. So I bought a new bike, a 2009 ST 1300. The plan was to leave in September to head for the West Coast. As the trip developed, it became quickly clear that we should focus on everything, say, west of Texas. Just draw a line down the United States at Texas, and we're going to focus on everything west of that. And we had done some pretty big mileage days. In fact, I think Blue had ran a saddlesore 1000 before. I'm not sure if it was certified. We had always met up in Memphis. It was about 600 miles for both of us. I'm coming from South Carolina. He's coming from Texas. And Memphis, 600 miles, about 10 hours. And it just seemed like a great spot. And we did that for quite a while. Well, I've never been a fan of going out 1,000 miles just to do 1,000 miles or whatever the mileage is. I call those empty miles. I need a reason to go the miles. It doesn't have to be a very good reason. It can be a biscuit 400 miles away. That's a good enough reason for me to go. The idea of riding 1,000 miles for solely a piece of paper just never excited me whatsoever. So there was very few opportunities to be going somewhere for us to where we were going to be able to lay down the 1,000 miles. But here comes the opportunity. We're going to California. We want to maximize our time. We want to hurry up and get the east side of the United States out of the way so we can slow down on the west side and start seeing points of interest, museums, photo ops, just whatever it is that we want to see. And so it became a great opportunity for me to lay down 1,000 miles that first day, assuming that the weather was going to be okay. One cold, late September, early October day, it might have been October 4th, 2011. I get up, it's 4 a.m. I love leaving at 4 a.m. 5 o'clock just seems a little too late. Before that, I don't have enough sleep. So 4 a.m., I'm on the bike, I'm heading out. And I absolutely do not like riding at night. I do it as little as possible. I never enjoy it at all, unless there's city lights around or street lights on the interstate or something like that. But those are usually just around big cities. So I get up to the North Carolina border on I-26, and there's a welcome center. So I just pull in there, and I know the sun's getting ready to come up. So I'll wait like 10 or 15 minutes for the sun to come up. And now, instead of just kind of creeping along at at speed limit, now I'm hammered down. I can see what's up. I can see any animals coming out of the trees. Deer being a big thing up there. The track runs me to Asheville, to Knoxville, up to Lexington, Kentucky. I had done enough pre-scouting that I knew the closest White Castle to me was in Frankfort, Kentucky. So I pull in Frankfort, Kentucky. I go the 2 miles down the road or whatever it is. I get me 4 sliders and some fries. And I go back out to the bike and I unzip my jackets, my heated jacket and my thermal layer. Bad mistake, because it was a very cold morning. It was probably 40s. And once I did that, all that heat escaped. And it became very difficult to get warm again. But I enjoyed my sliders. I got back out on the road. I'm heading up to Louisville. Even though I'm on somewhat of a time schedule with this saddlesore 1000, I know you have 24 hours, but the sooner you can do it, the better off you are, in my opinion. I decided to make a few stops, and one of them was to see the world's largest bat in Louisville, Kentucky, at the Louisville Slugger Museum manufacturing facility. And it was right off the interstate, like a couple blocks off. You may have had 3 or 4 blocks to kind of get around to it. It would have been a pull up, take a picture with the bike, right back up on the interstate, heading down the road. It should have been about 10 minutes time. Well, I get off the interstate and immediately realize there must be some sort of event going on down here, because there's a lot of traffic. There's road closures, and I don't know if it was construction or if the roads were just closed and everything's like one way. And I ended up circling basically the block that the museum was on a couple times. Probably about 20 minutes into it, I just gave up. I was like, I'm killing way too much time. So back up on the interstate I go. Somehow I ended up going in the wrong direction, or I missed my turn. So now I'm heading towards St. Louis. And as a city I've never been in, I guess I didn't expect it to be quite as big as it is. And apparently there's only a handful of ways to get across the river. Like maybe 3, maybe 4. But as I'm getting into St. Louis, I'm seeing signs that one of them is closed. So I'm like, oh man. So the GPS did not have accurate information to route me how I needed to go. So I was just reading the road signs. And I ended up coming to a dead stop right in the middle of St. Louis. And in fact, I sat on that bridge and stared at that gateway arch for so long. I have zero desire to ever see that thing again. I've stared at it more than anybody should. It just came to a dead stop. It was inch stop, inch stop. And I'm in full winter gear because it was cold that morning. Now it's mid-afternoon and the sun's blaring down. I'm hot. I'm unzipping all my jackets, and I'm not sure, even if I pulled over and took all this stuff off, I'm not sure where I'm going to put it. I can't just open the boot and throw it in and close it and keep going. I need, several minutes on the side of the road to figure out how to strap this down or where I'm going to put it in general. And it's just miserably hot. But I continue on, and I'm about 3 hours away from Kansas City, which is our meet spot. I stop and get gas. I call Blue. I'm like, look, man, I just don't think I'm going to make it. It's been a ridiculous day. I've been stuck in traffic. Just one thing after another is keeping me from continuing on this trip. And he does his best to try to encourage me. Oh man, you can do it. Come on. You're just 3 hours away. That's nothing. And I kind of buy into it. And I'm like, well, I want to keep coming that way, and we'll just see what happens. Well, now that the sun's down, it's new construction everywhere, new pavement. It's not marked. The reflective paint is not on the ground. You have these orange barrels. They're all brand new. They're blasting you in the face, the reflection off the headlights. It's just making it difficult for me to see where I need to be on the road. And there's not a lot of cars around this late at night, as it gets much further into it. I'm just really not having a good time. But somehow I'm still awake, I'm still moving forward, and that is progress. Eventually I get to my exit, and I know it like the back of my hand. I've stared at it on Google Maps. All I know, I take the exit, I hang a right, I hang another right. There's a gas station right there, and the motel is, right behind the gas station. It was a Days Inn. So I pull into the gas station, get my last receipt, and I proceed to look for the Days Inn where Blue's at. Well, I'm going down through there, and I'm reading the big signs that stick way up over the motels. And one says Red Roof Inn, and one says something else, and I forget what the other one is. But I go through all three of them like several times. I'm like, well, where's the Days Inn? I can't find it. So I stop, I pull over, I pull my phone out, I call Blue. As soon as the phone starts to ring, it dies. I am just beyond being able to put two thoughts together. One, I have 6 charging ports on my bike. There's zero reason for this phone to even be dead. So I plug the phone in and I wait. And I get a couple percent on, I leave it plugged in, I turn the phone on, it boots up, I try to make a call. As soon as it starts to ring, it cuts off. So now I'm really frustrated. I'm sitting on the side of the road for 20 minutes at least so far. I can't find Blue. So about the third time the phone didn't work, I just punched in Days Inn on the GPS, and it said the closest one was about 5 miles down the road. And at this point, I didn't care about splitting a motel. I didn't care what it cost to get in my own motel. I just went straight to the date. What I should have done is just went to one of those three. But again, I'm not thinking clearly at all. I should have drove around the parking lots looking for Blue's bike, but I didn't do that either. So I punch in Days Inn. I go 5 miles down the road and I walk in. I need a room. She's like, yep, no problem, blah, blah, blah. Here's your keys. She said, go around the first building, go to the back of the second building, park there, and walk up to the second flight. I'm like, all right. I pull in, and remember, I'm packed for 2 weeks vacation. So I take my duffel bag off the back seat. I got my 2 jackets and my helmet, probably 50, 70 pounds of gear. And I'm toting it up the stairs, and about halfway down this motel on the balcony, I get to my room, I just throw the stuff on the ground, pull my key out. It don't work. This is not a very nice part of town. There are people hanging out on the balconies. It's midnight. There's people hanging out on the balconies, yelling at each other, across the way. I'm just totally dead exhausted, but I knew enough not to leave my stuff there. So I pick it all up. I walk all the way up to the front office. I like the key don't work. Oh, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. Here's some new keys. Gives me new keys. Grab all my stuff up. Walk all the way back to the back, up the flight of stairs, halfway down the balcony, drop all my stuff again, try the key. It didn't work. And I'm not just like, and it didn't work. I mean, I'm, whatever it was, sticking it in, taking it out, going slow, pulling it. I tried everything I could. It just was not working. But again, I ain't thinking that clear. So it could have been something I was doing. I truly don't know. But now I am irate. Pick up all that crap again. Walk back up to the front office. And my friends, they tell me, they's like, man, we can just tell when you're mad. I mean, the look on your face is just incredible. We know not to mess with you. And whatever that look is, I must have had it on my face. Because I walked in, as soon as she saw me come through the door, she started scrambling. And she's like, doing whatever with the keys. She said, I got a room for you right here. And she hands me the keys, and I walk about 20 feet across the way, and I'm in my room. And I didn't say not one word to her. So I go in, throw all my crap on the floor, had enough sense to plug my phone in, because I knew people were wondering where I was. I had several people I needed to call and let them know where I was. So I plugged the phone in, sat down on the bed, and I was gone. I was out like a light until the next morning. Best probably sleep I've ever had. And I woke up, I turned the phone on, it's blown up. I start calling people. I tell George where I'm at, he's on the way. I call my wife, tell her I'm okay. She's cool with that. About the time Blue gets there to the motel, I'm putting my boots on, I'm getting ready, I'm feeling good. I've had a shower, changed clothes, and we are ready to continue the trip to the West Coast. Several things I've learned about that trip is, one, a piece of paper or some sort of accomplishment is not worth your life. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was exhausted, and I should not have been on the road at all, to a certain point. And I should have called it quits long before I did. Other trips since then, I'll pull off side of the road, I'll pull into a Harley dealer, I'll go back into customer service lounge, I'll sleep for 15 minutes, and I'm good. I'll get off the bike, I'll walk around, I'll move my arms, whatever. I'll fight it for a little bit, kind of like that, because sometimes just moving around, getting the blood pumping, will get you going again. You'll get past that lull of afternoon sleepy time. But that was the most difficult iron butt that I've ever had. Everyone since then has gone off without a hitch. About 15 and a half hours done, feeling good, no traffic, not sitting in the hot sun. They just all went really well. Well, a couple things. One, I never want to be on the road for 19, 20 hours. Never. If it ever looks like I'm going to be on the road in 19, 20 hours, I'm going to call it quits early. I'll call it a 12-hour day and be done. There's just no reason to push, in my opinion, to that extent. If I'm still feeling good, maybe I would, continue the 19 hours or whatever it was going to take. I remember just another time I was on an iron butt, and I was actually attempting a 1500 in 24 hours, and I got just north of Kansas City. I was heading to South Dakota, and it was about midnight, and I basically had the road to myself. There wasn't really any cars around me, and I started seeing alien ships on the interstate, and that's when I knew I was like, it's over. I'm done. So I just pulled off the interstate and got a motel right then. So never push. Just you got to keep that in mind. Never push, because it's a losing battle. Maybe a little while. Maybe if you're super uber, in tune with what's going on. But once you start fighting it, man, it's just hard to come back from it. And it's just, in my opinion, a losing battle. It's not worth your life. After that first attempt that I accomplished, with all the exhaustion going to California, I came back and I had the paperwork with me, and I set it on my desk at work, and I folded it up, and it basically sat there for like 2 years maybe. And I toyed with the idea, and I know a lot of people do, is I don't need somebody to give me a piece of paper to tell me I did something. And I kind of get that. What ended up happening was I used to read all the forums, and I happened to be reading the Goldwing forum, and often, as on any forum, people start, chest thumping and this, that, and the other, and the discussion came up is, well, I don't need a piece of paper, and then, well, there's more to it than a piece of paper, and so that argument, ensued. Well, one of the guys who was very vocal about, if you've done it and you got your paperwork and you're just sitting on it, he got on there and said, send me the paperwork and I'll look through it. If it's legit, I'll send it in and I'll pay for it. So I took him up on his offer. Just because he was kind of being a dick, really, about it. And like, this really was not something that people did, sit on paperwork for a couple years, and I actually did. So I took it upon myself. I sent it to him, and he did. He forwarded it to the Iron Butt Association, and a few months later I got my welcome pack. And I'm going to tell you, here's, for me, the big difference of saying you did it and having to explain, well, why I didn't do the paperwork, or why I'm not a member, or why I went 990 ODO miles, but I had these problems, and I don't care what anybody says, I count it type thing. When you get that packet and it says, welcome to the Iron Butt Association, I mean, at least for me, it was, wow, I'm actually part of this organization. I did the paperwork, I documented, I sent it in, and a peer of mine verified my ride and rubber stamped it good. And now I have a certificate to hang on the wall, and I absolutely love that piece of paper for exactly what it is. It's just a reminder, 1,046 grueling miles. So anytime I see an Iron Butt placard on a bike or a sticker on a bike, I make sure I go over there and talk to them if they're around. And it's a brotherhood. It's camaraderie. It's something to talk about, and the Iron Butt guys. I mean, they're just a great bunch of people. That's my story of my Iron Butt. The first one, it was horrible. It was a horrible experience until the day after, and every day since. And I was very glad I did it. And we've actually done one other one once we bought the Harleys, and I'm still waiting on the paperwork for that one. I think Blue's already got his. His says Shark Nose 1000, and that's kind of what I put in for it as well, the Shark Nose. And that's why I wanted it to go with the Harley. And I can't wait to get that piece of paper as well. This is Two Blue Fred. Hope you enjoyed the story. Freaking ride every day.